feeling free on that asphalt lane. Four wide at Talladega, they ain't holding no chain.
Gordon's right the back cut and we get busy. Bars and umbrellas on rocks, made for rest 19.
Four cars side by side in a wild friend ride, with the roar of the engines leaving all doubts behind. As the wheels spin on, chasing dreams we can't hide. That's car life where legends never die.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Four Wide Podcast. I hope you enjoyed that nice little sniffle we added to the music. It's very minimal, but I felt like it just added a little pizzazz this week. So, welcome back to episode 25. We've
25.
made it to 1/4 of 100. So
That's crazy.
somehow we survived this long. I don't know. Don't know what's going on.
It's amazing we survived past 7 days.
Ain't that the truth, brother? Well, we have 3 of the 4 wide members. Of course, I'm Cole, as always. I'm here all the time. Don't worry. Never going anywhere. So I'm not in a hospital bed, but I might just bring my podcast equipment from hospital bed if I ever have to go there. Use the 1G internet that they have.
We'll get you set up. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know Kent knows all about good internet connection, so I'm going to throw it to him next. How's it going, Kent?
It's going fantastic. Definitely not as fast as Xfinity internet, but it is what it is. But no, it's going great.
What about Comcast? You faster than Comcast?
I don't think I'm faster than anything right now. I honestly think, am I going to say
Dial
it?
up.
I will say it. I think Cody Ware might be faster than this internet. I think it's struggling.
I hear you.
Dude, you got to feel for the guy after that hit.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a couple weeks and it's still like fresh in my mind, especially seeing the guy's arm about to get taken off and he's waving the flag, telling that cars are coming through, and just
Oh, he didn't.
it was close, man. It was close. Also, we got Austin here with us today. How you doing, Austin?
It's me,
Mario or Austin? Who we talking to?
Austin.
Austin, the self-entitled Sermonator. There it is, the Sermonator. What a man. What a myth, what a legend. And, of course, Blake's not with us this week. Second week of VBS. We are missing our red. We'll be having that return next week, so it'll be able to balance the scale between all of our whiteness. It's going to be great. Obviously, we had Dover this weekend. 2 races, Xfinity Series and the Cup Series race, and we will talk about both of those races, as always. But we've had some news here lately. The last few days have been lucrative. Really the whole last weekend. So Austin really wanted to talk about this particular news, so I will throw it to him. Let him be our news correspondent. You can add the little do breaking news from Austin.
So the big thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the NASCAR rule change in regards to owners' point standings when it comes to open cars getting into the race day. So, you have what happened with Front Row in 2311 losing their charters mid-season, something that has been unprecedented, and then NASCAR all of a sudden comes up with this rule change to where now it's like a 40-car cap, and
Yes.
owner points are the deciding factor on who gets in and who doesn't, which I don't know, man. That, in a way, I'm happy because that means it's going to be harder for Catherine to get into a race again. On the other hand, for other guys like Corey LaJoie and whatnot, it's going to be more of a challenge for them to get into the race because they're having to compete with Front Row Motorsports in 2311. So I don't know. I was just curious on y'all's thoughts in regards to NASCAR's decision.
I love Corey LaJoie. He's my favorite driver. Right. It was wild to me because as a fan, as my perspective here, this really shows that NASCAR is very much afraid what's going to come out when it comes to December, because they're basically like, most of the time, if NASCAR has pretty good footing, they feel like they're going to be all right. They're going to go with whatever benefits them the most. And yeah, they were like, you know what? I'm kind of scared how this is going to go. If that December 1st date does reveal so many details that Hamlin said that it was going to in his interview at Dover, man, NASCAR's got to be sweating it. So they're like, you know what? We're going to let them run anyways. That way they can't sue us later on for all the lost money. That was how I took it.
You know, I respect NASCAR for saying, you know, hey, look, there's a misunderstanding somewhere down the line, so we're going to make sure that you get to race, right? Like, I respect that, but at the same time, you know, I don't like it. I don't like what it means for the other teams.
Feels dirty.
It does. You know, having these open teams is going to discourage drivers or teams from entering. And I don't know, maybe you know, it'll be, hey, look, you've got 40 teams that entered. Okay, now the 41st team is entering, and they know that they can boot one of those other teams out, so they're going to boot them out. Maybe you get more entries. I don't know. Maybe you know, you've got some of those teams that feel like, hey, we've got some pretty good owners points stacked up here. I think we could be a lock for a lot of these races. So I don't know. We'll see what it does.
Especially with Riley Herbst.
Man, gosh.
Riley Herbst is, I mean, get Jimmy Johnson in there for a few more races. He might pass him, but no, it's been a tough season for him. I forget that he's a Cup guy. I mean, I just forget, but
we just think he's Ty Gibbs 2.0 when we see him on the racetrack. We're like, hey, there's Ty Gibbs. Oh, there's Ty Gibbs again.
Honestly, I mean, it's the same car, essentially just a different number.
Yeah.
Every week.
Well, you bring a good point up because I looked at Indy. Of course, these announcements of who was going to run in these next two races, Indy specifically, Catherine Legg announced that she was going to run and try to qualify for the Cup race well ahead. This was part of her regular schedule. You got Josh Bilicki in the 66, Jesse Love in the 62, and Catherine Legg in the 78. And now the additional cars that are added to this list are Noah G., Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, and Tyler Reddick. So that is an additional. It's got to have been years since we've seen that many open cars in the running, but it's still 39 teams for 40 spots anyway. So everybody's going to make the race, but it's like, dang, that's crazy. That many cars. I mean, it's probably been. Kent's the historian here. He probably knows what it's like. It was 1993, July, at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He probably knows that, but I do not.
I mean, I could say this. I mean, you can do some simple math, right? Like, when did the whole charter thing begin? Was that around 2017 when the stages started? Like, when did the charters start?
I'll do some research while you're talking.
I would just say, if you look back to the year before the charters began, and you look at a Daytona 500 or you look at a Coca-Cola 600, you're probably going to see a comparable amount of open entries, you know, because prior to the charters, you had 43 positions available to be filled. And so, I mean, there were
I
times.
got you.
All right, hit me up with that number.
The 2016 was the year, so I went back to the 2015 Coke 600. There were 48 entries for that race.
There you have it, and only 5 went home. So, I mean, it's just, it's definitely odd to look at. I think it almost hurt them lowering that number. I think they felt like, you know, they were doing something good there, but I don't know. I think the teams benefit from the charters, right? I think the teams benefit a lot. But NASCAR as a whole, you know, I think if they could get rid of the charters altogether, I think they would. But there's already too much equity in it, and that's why you have the lawsuits that are going down now. So,
well,
and you also have the instances. Sorry, Austin, to cut you off. I know that we do that a lot around here. The grandfather system is a real wrench in things too, because you got teams that have 4 cars that were grandfathered in, where if you get charters now, there's no way you can get 4 teams in a system. So that's another issue in itself with the charter system. Because if you have a team that's willing to put the investment, get the sponsors together, further the sport, then you're losing out on money for the teams. And ultimately, if you bring sponsors in on cars, historically, those sponsors are going to sponsor races. We've seen it with so many different drivers and stuff. They just get a little taste of the pie, essentially, getting on a car, and they're like, you know what? I really like this sport. I like the atmosphere and whatever. We're going to put like an associate sponsorship together for Dover, Daytona or whatever track that feels the most legitimized or localized to them. So that's just a little extra. Okay, Austin, sorry to cut you off, buddy. I love you.
I was just thinking, like, what's the solution? Does NASCAR force teams to reallocate and everybody have 3 max on their team? Or, because I feel like if you're having this cap, you're not going to be able to bring in new teams, new manufacturers into the sport. I feel like that's going to be an issue. But on the opposite side of the coin, they're already saying that there are already teams that are like, so y'all got extra charters, huh? Okay. They said that there's already been a couple IndyCar teams looking at expanding into NASCAR and several Xfinity teams that are looking at making the jump up. I would not be surprised if JRM was one of those that would consider.
I've been saying I really do think I think I wouldn't be surprised to see the 40 car full time with Josh Berry at the seat, there at the wheel, and see some shuffling around on the Ford end. But I think there are a lot of Xfinity teams that feel like, hey, let's take a crack at this whole Cup thing, because with so many drivers winning, it's harder than ever, right? But it's also easier than ever. And I think when you say it's harder than ever, it's because you can't just go out there and win 7 races in a season like you've been able to before. Denny Hamlin isn't far from it, right? But, it's also easier than ever in that because of the parity, more drivers are winning. It's just they're not winning as many races, right? So there's a greater opportunity for you to go get in the Cup level and go out and, you know, get that win somehow, some way. I think a lot of teams look at a team like Colleague and go, man, they were able to go to Indianapolis to the road course and win with AJ Allmendinger. And Colleague is a Cup Series winning team now, right? Same thing with Front Row with the Daytona 500. And then, they had won some races, right? Back in the day with, I know they had won one with David Reagan. And so they had some success, but to still have, they won the Daytona 500, which that was before the new car, but Trackhouse has really, really taken advantage. We complain all the time. I know I do about SVG just running up the score on everybody with these road course races. Trackhouse is so brilliant in the way that they've done their hiring. Yeah, Daniel Suarez is struggling. They're going to probably have Connor Zilic in that car. It's going to take him a couple years, I think, to start having a ton of success, but he's going to do okay eventually. Chastain has been a hit. Even when he doesn't win, he's a fan favorite. And then SVG is another fan favorite who has 3 wins this season. That's crazy. He's got 3 wins this season. So, yeah, I think you'll see a lot of teams take a crack at the Cup Series.
For sure. All you have to do is look at all the revenue that the Traveler Whiskey car brought to NASCAR. Of course, you have the diecast, man. The 124s, just the standards, they sold out in like a couple of days, which is crazy for just ARCs. And people were posting those things for like $200. ARCs are like $80 shipped or $90 shipped. So people were paying that much because everybody just wanted a piece of the pie. And now they've come out with a race version of that where they took the fender off and they're actually doing actual damage instead of decals for once with line off. So that's pretty cool. But just all the revenue that JRM has. I think you bring up an interesting point about Josh Berry. I don't know if that'll work just next year. It'd probably be the year after, because I know Josh Berry's, I'm pretty sure he signed a multi-year contract with the Wood brothers. See that they're probably going to keep a Chevy. I feel like that's definitely because JRM Chevy.
They're going to continue their ties with Hendrick Motorsports, even if they come to the Cup level. They'll probably run out of Hendrick's shop, I would imagine, to some extent, right? A Hendrick engine assembly there, so whatever the case is, but yeah.
Yeah, and then another news that ties into these charters is obviously we talked about how Rick Ware Racing was going to be bought by a former founder of Spire. And now there's another lawsuit in regards to that with Front Row because there's just, it's like everybody's just suing each other. It's crazy to try to follow all this mess because we are fans of NASCAR. We're not legal experts over here. Our degrees were not in anything legal. We can, is it Samuel that Blake's friends with that ended up doing law in some sort,
Sam.
Austin?
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah. We'll call him up. We'll see what he thinks about all this. We might have him on the podcast one time, even though he doesn't watch NASCAR concurrently, but he probably find everything interesting with this. He might be able to talk more about the dynamics of all these lawsuits and stuff, but all kinds of legal tape going into next year, and that's truly we've been talking about silly season in regards to drivers. These lawsuits are truly what silly season will be this for December and January. We're not going to be talking about drivers moving to other places. We're going to be talking about these lawsuits and how they end up, how they restructure NASCAR. So yeah, that's kind of what Austin want to talk about. Of course, there's a whole bunch of controversy going on the Twitter machine. There's always a lot of stuff going on the Twitter machine. Speaking of, we're actually live tweeting during the races. So if you're bored and you need some dumb commentary or some inspirational commentary, depending on what's going on, you can check us out at 4Wide Pod, and that's on all social medias. So that is at 4Wide Pod, FOURWIDEPOD. I can spell, believe it or not, English major. Anyways,
we're on the talk too. I don't know if we've really announced that a ton on here, but we're on TikTok. So hey, look, we got like 14 followers, but almost 750 likes across some of our posts. So y'all, like hit the follow button. I don't think it'll kill you. Like that would be the coolest thing if y'all, liked it and followed and shared some stuff. So and that's at 4Wide Pod as well. So hit us up.
Yeah, it's like the TikTok's like the closeted brother in the corner kind of deal thing. We don't talk about him most of the time. We talk about everything. But nah, we've been enjoying. We cross post a lot of our stuff. We cross post a lot of YouTube shorts on TikTok, and the reels that Austin and I make for Instagram sometimes get thrown over there. So it's all good. I mean, it's always fun. We're having funny stuff come out. We got stuff that ticks people off sometimes, especially, particular audience that Kent likes to rub the old dirt in every once in a while. And we're just having a good time over here. So if you like funny stuff, you like inspirational stuff, some nice music behind it, start a little diecast series on the social medias. It's been doing pretty good on YouTube. Been enjoying making those. And yeah, we got all kinds going on over here. So we're trying to grow, trying to do our thing. So anything else y'all want to talk about in regards to the news aspect, or we all want to move on to the most exciting Xfinity race at Dover I've ever seen in my life? I literally texted the group chat during the day, and I'm like, it felt like it was night watching it because I was ready to go to bed. But it's got to be the most boring Xfinity race of this year for me. I could not get in it at all. Of course, Connor Zilisch took the trophy home with him due to a little bit of help from the precipitation master upstairs. And yeah, any takes, anything that you guys found, 2% interesting about the Xfinity race, how everything turned out?
Well, you see, I went and saw the Superman movie, so I didn't get to see the.
You had your priorities straight.
10 out of 10 movie, by the way. Superman was an incredible movie. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
We're totally partnership with them, by the way. 100%. Yes. We're riding that to the end there.
Literally have the S
what about
tattooed
you, Kent?
on my chest.
I bet so. I'd like to see that, but not right now. Anyways, Kent, did you have any insights, or did you not watch the race either?
Well, first of all, with a name like Kent, I bet you didn't know that really I am Superman.
Yeah, are you?
Anyways,
wait, where'd he go?
Stand up. Where'd he go? Stand up. Prove it.
No, thank you. No, I didn't watch. I don't think I watched any of the race. What was I even doing on Saturday? Oh yeah, no, I was gone all day away from cell service. So yeah, no, I didn't get a chance to watch a lick of the race on
hey, y'all
Saturday.
Suck.
So yeah, I know. That's awful. That's terrible. But I didn't really see any of it. I was happy to see Zilisch win. I'm always happy to see Zilisch win. He's a cool dude. Kind of want to, I don't know if y'all listen to the podcast with him on the Dale Jr. download, but he said something that was like low key, super cocky. And for the first time, I kind of actually I was like, okay, I like that vibe. I was like, that's pretty cool. But he said something along the lines of, yeah, with Junior on the pit box, I couldn't screw up and run like 15th. And I was like, there are drivers in that series that kill to run 15th. To say that is crazy. But anyways, no, I like Zillich, so I was glad that he got the win. And looking forward to maybe a championship season for him.
Yeah, me too. Being my championship pick for the year, I would much love to see him taking it all the way. A lot of people, of course, this is his technical second oval win, but most people are like, "Oh, this is his first oval win," because they don't consider the old tricky triangle, because it is a triangle. It's not a oval as a oval
Troval.
win. It's a troval. It's like the roval, but with a tro in front of it, and it's not a road course.
Trio.
But it's also 5 turns. But that's a whole other thing. But
Yeah, the roval's like what 25 turns. It feels like.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Pocono is not 3 turns; it is 5 turns. But
Yep.
that's what it is.
It is what it is, baby. So really, it's an oval with an extra step, right? Being 5 turns, so added difficulty. Anyways, people were like, "Oh, he backed into it. It was a rain out." The man led 77 laps. He finished 4th in stage 1, 1st in stage 2. Got 57 points on the day. I swear, man, I feel like NASCAR fans just can't be happy for anybody. They always got to find something that's wrong with somebody. It's nothing about, you know what? He had a good overall performance. The pit crew did everything they need to. They're like, no, we're going to figure out one minimal thing and we're just going to tear apart something good, right? What about you, Austin? What do you think about that? About people
NASCAR
backing into wins?
Well, I can't say nothing. Knowing who my driver is, he literally backed to a whole championship.
Hey, I will say this: if you back into enough wins, you gotta have some sort of skill. I mean, I bash Logano all the time. I can't stand Logano. That's no secret. That guy's super freaking talented, and that's why he's able to, right? Like the same way Denny Hamlin probably had the 4th or 5th fastest car. I know we're not talking about that yet, but he was able to, on old tires, hold off the field because he's just that good. Zillich, when he's got as many wins already on the season as he does, say what you want to about backing into a win. It don't matter. It's just another win on his wins list in a series that we're not even going to count how many wins he has because we're going to be counting his cup wins instead because he ain't going to be in the Xfinity Series much longer. So, yeah. Anyways,
That's a pretty good point, in all honesty. Of course, Taylor Gray was the guy that won, I believe, the first stage, but then he had his slow pit stop at the end of that stage that really messed up his day. I mean, that's been the story for Taylor Gray. Multiple times this year had a really fast car, was running in the top spots, and some kind of ordeal happens. One time it was Sammy Smith just clearing him out. Second time was this. Been multiple things on pit road that's gone wrong for that 54 team, which is wild because it's JGR team. They're supposed to have some of the best pit crew members historically. And with that, JRM, man, they are absolutely taking the lead. They're almost close to reaching the 2-win mark, I think, in the Xfinity Series.
I think it's the 100 win mark, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, because they're right there at it. And so, that's it's going to be cool when they get it. I'm excited to see who the driver is that gets it for them, because they're going to celebrate. They're going to have the flag, the banners, whatever the case is, the T-shirts, the hats. It's going to be a really cool celebration for an organization that's been doing it for a while.
They've definitely put the time in. They've had multiple great drivers over there in that garage, and they bring new drivers in every year. I mean, you have SVG this year. You have Chastain. You had Suarez winning Mexico City. Probably the most emotional win so far this year. You could argue that, but I feel like, it kind of has to be. At the top of my head, just thinking about it. But yeah, man, it was great to see Zillich win. Brandon Jones finished 3rd. That's good for him. He's been having a rough time. Eric Almirola finished 2nd once again. I know Almirola was like, man, if I just had a little bit longer, a little bit closer, I probably could have passed Zillich. She was starting to chase him down with that expertise, that veteran prowess. And, it's good to see not only Zillich win on the oval, but guys, I don't know. I feel like we said this before, and I want to make sure we underline this. This was a concrete track. This isn't just an oval. This is a concrete oval. And also on top of that, it's the toughest. It's the Monster Mile for a reason. It's very treacherous, and it's claimed a lot of Hall of Famers throughout the years in the Cup level with accidents and stuff. So I feel like it speaks a lot to Zilich's expertise and his level. And like Kent said, he will not be in the Xfinity Series for much longer. So y'all good to move on to Cup, I guess, since y'all didn't watch anything? My gosh, you could at least watch the highlights. Y'all killing me over here.
Highlights.
Yeah, those highlights is a whole minute and a half long.
I tend to catch whatever goes on Instagram with those highlights. So I saw maybe I guess I didn't see the last lap and ended under caution. So scratch that.
I usually watch the Xfinity race, but this was the rare Saturday that I didn't get to watch it. So
The Xfinity Series is probably, arguably, and has been for a few years now, the most entertaining series. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard.
I love the truck series so much. I feel
That's
like they
true.
race the hardest. I really do. But that's my opinion. I mean, if you think the Xfinity series is the best, that's cool, man. That's great. But it's just something about those trucks, man, that just really do it. All right, we'll move on to the Cup race then, since we don't have much to talk about the Xfinity race in general. I really didn't have a lot prepped, and I guess I should have had more prepped because nobody else had anything ready to go. Alrighty, so the Cup race at Dover Motor Speedway. I'm just going to say this right off the top. I know that there are some fans that will be pissed that NASCAR went back and raced that last 15 laps because their driver had something happen to them. Yeah, I see you, buddy. I see you. Christopher Bell fans will probably be right there with you. Of course, he caused that. But NASCAR did themselves a good service by putting that race back on, because imagine the absolute anarchy that would happen for the people that went to that race, paid money to get into that race, to watch the race, and they're like, you know what? We're going to cancel this race with 15 laps to go, and the track is shining, the sun's out. It's one of the quickest tracks to dry historically. It would have been a disservice to them. So I'm glad they made the right call for the fan base. It's got to be like maybe the first or second time they've done it this year. Made the right call for something.
real
Go
quick, Joel,
NASCAR. Yes, sir.
Jeff Gluck posted that the CW range shortened Dover race got the highest viewership for an Xfinity Series race at Dover in 9 years. Average viewership of 1.047 million, and it was up 19% this year over last year's Xfinity to Dover race on FS. Just thought I'd point that out. Xfinity's getting viewers. 16 of the last 20 races have hit over 1 million views for Xfinity.
It'd be very interesting to see if they come back after the way that the Xfinity race ended for this week. I hope they do, though. And we need as much growth as we can in the sport. So, yeah. Anything you guys want to say in regards to NASCAR deciding that, you know what, we're going to go back racing with this 15 laps to go? Because I know Kent, at the end, I'll let Kent just take it away. Kent, tell us what you thought when you seen that caution flag fly when Denny Hamlin was leading that race.
Yeah, I can't sit here and say they shouldn't have gone back because I was begging for them to go back racing. Yeah, my favorite driver got absolutely destroyed in that wreck, but I mean that's part of it. I don't. Christopher Bell reminds me a little bit of Kyle Larson. Maybe this is another conversation. They
Dirt
both
racers, baby.
absolutely
Dirt racers.
put it all on the line, and so that's why they win. That's why they're entertaining. That's why they wreck a lot. And so, I'm frustrated of how it ended for Byron. I would have been more frustrated had they not gone back racing. So it was an entertaining finish, however you chalk it up. And, it is what it is. I could get into, as a Byron fan, I could spiral on how, oh man, now he doesn't have the points lead and all this stuff. And it's frustrating. But at the end of the day, NASCAR, the fans, specifically the ones at Dover, were the big winners at the end of the day. So I don't think anyone has any room to complain unless you're a team owner that lost a few $100,000 in those wrecks. No one has any room to complain that they went back green. NASCAR gave the fans what they wanted, and hats off to them.
I know some people are going to be like, oh man, all that for a Denny Hamlin win. That people are going to say that, but I think it was the right call. At least it was a better situation than Charlotte, a couple years back, where the track was clearly dry, and NASCAR just didn't want to go back. I get it had been
Humidity.
the humidity.
It's too humid. It's too humid. I was like,
we're sitting there looking at the front stretch, and it's like it's not that wet.
Yeah.
But it was a brief shower. Yeah, they lost the track, but the sun came out. It's concrete, so concrete's a bit easier to dry than asphalt is at times. I know with concrete tracks, you got to worry about the weeping, every once in a while. But yeah, it was the right call to make, 100%. Regardless of, if the race had under caution, Hamlin would still won the race. So, the result really didn't change. It's just a few drivers finished a lot further back than they thought they would, probably exiting that red flag. So, yeah, I think NASCAR made the right decision in this one. For once, they made the right decision.
it's great to see for once, 100%. Obviously, Denny Hamlin got the win, earned the win 100%. Of course, Kent pointed out, obviously, that his skill was kind of the dividing gap because the newer equipment in regards to the tires would have most definitely went for most of the field. But, yeah, it's most definitely one of those things where Hamlin's maturity, his overall proudness as a driver, really pretty much excelled. Had Briscoe on his pretty much the side of his car and was able to win the race. That's crazy. Most time you have newer tires and you about clear a car, get close to clearing the car, you're done. Like the guy on old tires.
Briscoe's like, I don't know what else I could have done. He's like, I don't know what else I could have done to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks a lot. JGR teammates have similar equipment, which obviously the JGR cars seem to be some of the best cars all day long. But there was another car that was one of the best cars all day long, and that would be the number 9 of Chase Elliott. And obviously, they had their kerfuffle at the start of the race with the Jackman issue in regards to pulling the jack a little bit too soon, or the jack fell off. I don't think they ever really accredited what it actually was. It was just an issue. But there was a call made at the end of the race for new tires, and I know Kent was talking about this. Of course, being, he used to be a Chase Elliott supporter. He still is, but ultimately Byron's his number one guy now, but he wants to see Elliott do good, and he had a specific feeling, and I feel like I will let him take the flagship with this comment.
Yeah. So when that caution came out, he had a decent lead, but he was losing ground to Denny Hamlin. He was complaining on the radio that his car was getting a little tight. The longer you go in these runs at Dover, the tighter your car is going to typically get as the tire wear fades. And so what does it mean when your car gets tight? Essentially, you just lose the ability to steer it as easily. You've got the wheel pulled hard to the left, but it's wanting to pull back to the right. You're just not having the grip that you had before, and your car's just not turning how you want it to. So what does that mean for you? I mean, you're out of the gas longer in the corners, and you're not able to really keep up your momentum as much as possible. And so, yeah, that's what he was kind of struggling with inside the car. So what that tells me is if you're going to pit, first of all, there were only 6 cars on the lead lap. The 7th was going to get the wave around, but you're guaranteed, worst case scenario, you're restarting in the top 6. Worst case scenario, you've had the fastest car all day, you decide to pit from the lead. I'm okay with that decision. I think had he stayed out, he had an opportunity to potentially control the race. I don't think Chase Elliott has yet acquired the skill that Denny Hamlin had to hold off the traffic. I could be wrong about that, but I don't know that he was. And we already know that Denny Hamlin was running him down on those old tires. He was not going to be the fastest car when they restarted the race. So let's fast forward a little bit. Chase comes down pit road. He's complaining about the car being tight. Worst case scenario, you're only going to lose a few spots, but your pit crew has been solid all year. You had one frustrating stop that day, but you got your bad stop out of the way. You're probably going to have a good stop. You pit, you get 4 tires, you come off pit road probably first, but they got 2. And that didn't make sense Are you trying to get track position? No, I mean you just gave it up. Why don't you get 4 tires? That's the only call that makes sense. That's why every other driver came down and got 4 tires. No one was trying to get track position on pit road. They already had track position if they were on the lead lap. And so you just get 4 tires. And so he would have started behind Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon, where he restarted anyways. And then it took him forever to get past Austin Dillon. And at that point, it was over. He was never going to catch. And yeah, I mean, he was kind of running them down there at the end, but yeah, he wasn't. He was going to get there and have the same trouble with 30 air everyone else had had. So I've struggled with Alan Gustafson for a very long time. It's hard for me to have too much criticism because I don't know what it's like to be in that position. But I think even the casual viewer can acknowledge that AG has lost Chase Elliott more races than he's won the guy. Now, when he has won him races, he's looked like a champ because he is a champ. But I mean, this goes back to when he was Jeff Gordon's crew chief. He did stuff that I was like, that was so stupid, So I'm not gonna be surprised if we hear in the off season that AG is gonna get replaced. But at the same time, I thought that after he ran Chase Elliott out of gas at Watkins Glen several years ago. And so AG has had a lot of rough moments. This was one of them. They still come out of it with the points lead, and they come out of it sitting pretty, looking forward towards the playoffs. But I can't say emphatically Chase would have won had they got 4 tires, but he would have had a chance. He didn't have a chance on 2 tires. So there you go.
Austin, what was your overall thoughts with the 9 call? Anything in particular that you would have? Obviously, you would say we were all 4 of us. Even Blake with VBS was like, "Why did he take 2 tires? He should have took 4." I mean, I'm speechless again for the second week in a row
for different reasons too.
100%.
It was kind of a mind-boggling decision. I know Chase is in the points lead, but he could have a much bigger lead if it wasn't for Gustafson. These calls don't make any sense. Rolling 2 tires instead of 4 at a place where tire degradation is such a big deal. You need fresh tires fairly consistently. That don't make no dang sense to me. So, yeah, AG cost Chase another win again. But, what do you do?
Yeah,
so even a Logano fan, guys, a Logano fan is acknowledging that AG has got to go. He got nothing against him as a person, but he just he can't. He has proven to have some pretty incompetent moments, and it's not just look. I mean, I can sit here and I've never been in his shoes. I've never even been close to having any type of responsibility like he has in a race setting. But I think you can know a pretty dumb move. Like when Chase Elliott ran out of gas at Watkins Glen, I was sitting there thinking, what does AG know that we don't? He should be running out of gas this lap. And then they're, oh, Chase Elliott's out of gas. I'm like, duh.
What?
Like, obviously. So, I don't know. He's had some pretty bonehead moves. And I think it's time. I think every Chase Elliott fan in the country is ready for something new. And I swear, Mr. Hendrick or Jeff Gordon, if you take Rudy Fugle and you switch him with, Alan Gustafson, I'll join Austin. I'll be a Penske fan. I don't care. Like that would be frustrating. But
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding. And no, you got to feel like there's probably someone at JRM or somebody, a car chief, somebody who's ready for that next opportunity, who's already in the line at Hendrick Motorsports.
Man, I'll tell you.
AG's been doing it since Kyle Busch in 05, right?
As a Joey Logano fan, I feel like I'm blessed that my driver has one of the best crew chiefs in NASCAR in Paul Wolf. I mean, dude is wicked smart and has won
specifically
Joey
as a
races.
race strategist. Yeah.
Yeah, he's won Joey several races, and Joey admits it. He's like at Nashville that year, he just happened to have more gas than everybody else did. Joey was like, we did not have a car that should have even been considered in the running for winning this race. And because of, my pit crew and my crew chief, doing the math, figuring out, okay, how much gas do we have left? We were able to survive. Because I remember thinking, come on, Joey, pit, like that Nashville race. Joey, pit, please pit. And then he keeps staying out 3 or 4 overtimes into the thing. Everyone's like, check his fuel box. Check his fuel box. Ain't no way. Check the gas tank. And yeah, I mean, if you don't have a crew chief that is helping you, like, rolling the dice is one thing, right? Like on gas. Okay, we think we got enough in the tank. Let's roll the dice. Let's see if some guys get caught out. But for me, on a track like Dover, you need 4 tires. It's already hard enough to pass because of the aero. If you don't have fresh tires, you're screwed.
Well, and someone would say, well, Denny Hamlin didn't need 4 tires. Chase Elliott isn't Denny Hamlin. And it's just, it pains me to say it because the part of me that still likes to see Chase Elliott have all the success in the world, hates to say that. And y'all know how much I don't really care for Denny Hamlin, but Chase Elliott didn't dare yet.
Kind of tasted bad to say when, did
Yeah, it did. But it's true. And that's what I'm aiming for here. But Chase Elliott isn't Denny Hamlin. And I don't think his car was good enough on the long run to really compete.
Yeah.
If you're going to get tires at all, if he had stayed out, I don't think anyone's complaining. You lose it straight up. If he pits, and that's the whole thing. Why the heck didn't you just get 4 tires? If you had dropped the jack and sat there and cried about it for 20 seconds and then finished the stop, guess what? You're restarting 6th. That just don't make sense to me.
Andy had that number 1 spot too. So, I mean, you have that added advantage. You got much less further to go than anybody else out of your box to get to that line. And so, why not go ahead and get the 4 tires? You have that little extra, couple millisecond time buffer that you need to get out of the box. Why not take advantage of that? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but so far it's not hurting him too bad when you look at the season standings and he's in first place right now. He's had a really good consistent year, and I think with a better crew chief he might have more wins than 2 or 1. One,
That's just one.
Uno
1
win.
points.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, imagine if he had like 2 or 3 wins, the points that he would have coming in over Byron. That'd be wild.
How about Ty Dillon getting it done again?
Yeah, Cinderella man.
Moving 100%. Into the last round of the challenge against O'Gibb.
Yeah.
He has a real chance.
Yeah, he does. He's really good at Indy. He won his one Xfinity race that he won at the Brickyard. Well, it wasn't the Brickyard race, but I remember him doing the burnout over the bricks. Dude's been phenomenal. I mean, just capitalizing where he needs to, and then you could say he got lucky where that caution came out where he got the lucky dog. He actually had to be in the position in front of John Hunter to get the lucky dog in the first place. I talked about earlier, Darren Bowman Gray. He showed speed at Bowman Gray at a short track. And that's why I was like, I was like, they have a good shot this year to do something. Obviously, it's not gone exactly to what I would have thought, but they've shown up some pretty good speed when they need it the most. It was announced today, and I felt like it was kind of crappy. Initially, NASCAR said the $1 million was going to go directly to the driver, but they've changed that now. It's going directly to the team. They have announced. I seen that earlier, and I'm like, so you're hyping up all this. Now, of course, I'm sure the team will divvy up some of that $1 million to go to their driver.
For a team like Kaulig, though, that $1 million would do a lot of good.
Yeah, it would for sure. I mean, heck, he's one of those guys in the NASCAR garage. I feel like it's very selfless. I feel like he would have given the $1 million to Kaulig anyways, or a good portion of it. So, because they've been making really good gains in the Cup level. Xfinity Series this year has not gone quite as well as they would have hoped. Eckes has been fighting a little bit, but obviously you got Josh Williams who's been struggling. But the Cinderella story lives on, and coming to Indy, one of his best tracks historically, you got to think that he does have a really good shot.
It's sick if you get that.
Yeah, for sure. I know that there's been a lot of, it's the silver spoon versus the silver spoon. I've seen that a lot on social media. I'm like, Ty Dillon is the opposite of a silver spoon. He's went everywhere else to try to race. Obviously, he had his start at Richard Childress Racing, 100%. But he went to the Truck Series and ran for Rackley. I mean, not a phenomenal team by any means. He's done his time in the sport, and Colleague, of course, is associated with RCR. That's who their equipment and whatnot comes from. But, it's great to see. I mean, for him, he's a good guy. I've met him a couple times. Very humble, and to call him a silver spoon is, I feel like, disrespectful, in all honesty. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Man, I'm with you. He's probably had opportunities to stick around with Grandpa's team if he wanted to. Maybe not. I don't know. But he's shown flashes of greatness and never really had the opportunity and the best equipment to do it. I've always pulled for the guy. I like his personality. I like the guy's drive just to, as a competitor, to get after it and get it done. And so I would love for him to win this. Y'all, I was looking at this in the point standings. I don't know if y'all have looked at it recently. Y'all want to guess where Ty is in the point standings after Dover?
Dover, he was fighting for not the end of the playoff spot, but he was in the fight for a little bit. What about you, Austin? You got a guess? 19's a good guess.
Ty Dillon is 30th
But dang,
in the
we're
point
giving him a lot of.
standings.
We're giving him
Yep. He is 30th in the point standings. Y'all want to guess where Ty Gibbs is?
Gibbs has had some good finishes.
I know,
Gibbs
but
is sneaky high. No, not high, but like sneaky higher than you would think.
19.
I would say 20. I think he was 20s last time I looked at him.
It's pretty crazy. You got the 16th guy in points going against the 30th guy in points. Which Ty, by the way, he's only about 14 points behind Big Bro, who's still racing for Grandpa.
That's real.
I love it when he outcompetes his brother. It's great to me. Like, I absolutely love it.
And they fight hard on the track too. Like they hit each other all the time on the track. We'll probably conclude with this and maybe look at the points a little bit closer. I'm pretty sure they showed it on the broadcast, but I heard it after, of course, and Austin made sure to point it out to us a little bit later. Is Richard Childress telling his team that they need better equipment because the cars that they're essentially bringing to the racetrack are not to par for someone like Kyle Busch, who's sitting in that 15th spot in points.
We suck is the words that he said on radio.
Yeah, he's like, we got to start bringing better cars to the track. And, I mean, what kind of actionable stuff can RCR do?
I was going to ask, is that a personnel move or is that just a money and resources move?
I mean, you got Kyle Busch bringing in all kinds of sponsors. I mean, he's got a lot for RCR here lately. Most of the time with Austin, it's either Bass Pro Shops or Realtree being associated with Bass Pro Shops, or you got the ethanol that he runs the scheme, and then was it Breasttree? Those are usually the few sponsors. But he's recycled a lot of sponsors over the year, where Kyle Busch has kind of been, he's been getting a lot newer stuff here lately. So
he's got Lucas Oil. He's got
Cheddars.
He's got the 3Chi.
7-Eleven.
Yep, the Rowdy Whiskey.
Rebel Bourbon.
That's it. Rebel Bourbon, Rowdy Whiskey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rowdy Whiskey.
All right, Kyle.
That's a good idea for a brand.
There you go. Hey, look, you heard it here first. We expect sponsorships.
But yeah, I mean, he's brought in all kinds and still getting new sponsors. Of course, he had that Slurpee car that was really cool. Now, that was a partnership with 7-Eleven, but I wonder if Slurpee was also like the name brand as well. So maybe there's a little back end cut of that. But, you know, it's been a crazy year to be a NASCAR fan. It's been a really good year to be a fan, and for the most part, it's been very interesting. Obviously, we've had the high and lows of some people hating that SVG's got 3 wins, is locked into the first go in the playoffs, and you got someone like, Ryan Preece having a fantastic season this year. Bubba Wallace has had a really good season this year, and you got Kyle Busch, who, Rowdy Nation needs to get lucky at some point. So, they're all fighting for that last spot at this point. It's getting pretty juicy here towards the end of the season, like it always does. So I'll be very interested to see how everything turns out. Is there any like specific storyline that you guys are looking forward to when it comes to the last few races of the year? Something that's setting up really well, other than the Cinderella story, obviously, of Ty Dillon.
Yeah, I think the race for the regular season championship is really heating up. If Byron were to ever get this, I don't know if he, hit a black cat with a broken mirror standing underneath a ladder or what, but like he has had the worst luck in this series the past few weeks to have as good a cars as he's had. Only like one top 10 since early June, which is crazy. And he's been running well, just not finishing strong. So if he gets it figured out, and Chase goes back to running 6th to 10th, could that heat back up? Could Larson get hot again? It could get really tight here at the end of the season, and it's definitely going to be fun to watch and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure, because you look at Chase Elliott, he's only got 6 playoff points to his name. Byron's only got 12, where you got Larson and Hamlin that have 23 and 24 together. That's crazy. You got Christopher Bell with 17, but meanwhile, he's behind Reddick, who only has 1 playoff point this year. It is crazy to see. And then you got Ryan Blaney, who's had probably the worst year for DNFs, and he's sitting in 7th in points. It's like, dang. What a crazy year. But what about you, Austin? Is there anything that really has piqued your interest coming into these spicy few last weeks before the playoffs?
I mean, I guess for me, I always enjoy the cutoff line battle. Is Reddit going to get a win? Is he going to win and get in, or is he going to get in off of points, or how many more people are going to take those spots? Because you got a lot of good guys that are still on the fringe looking in. You got Busher, you got Reddick, that are not locked in yet. Got Ty Gibbs. He's performed pretty well. All it takes is a couple people without a win winning, and you have some interesting scenarios going into the last couple weeks of the playoff and that cutoff race at Daytona.
Yeah, you got Michael McDowell in 17th, starting to make some headway. I mean, you got Eric Jones, who's in the top 20 in points. I mean, who would have thought that coming into this year? Of course, went down a couple points. He was 18th coming into Dover. He went down a good amount, but it's a crazy year. I'm specifically really looking forward to see what Legacy does overall for the year. I don't know if they'll get into the playoffs, obviously, but I feel like there is a win coming here down the line pretty soon for them, because they've been hitting on a lot of those mile-and-a-half setups. Obviously, the last few weeks with the road courses have not been the best, but they've always struggled at road course races for the most part. But it's been really cool to see, and I hope they do get a win. That would just only strengthen the sport even more, to have another good team that can compete week in to week out, like we see. Speaking of a race that Reddick might be able to win, we're moving on to Indianapolis Motor Speedway this week, and also the trucks will be racing at IRP, Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. So we're going to set you up with everybody. Obviously, I've already told you the Cup drivers that are making quote unquote open starts, but I will go ahead and tell you guys once again once we get there. But for the trucks, we got Brent Cruz in the 1, Jason Alexander in the 02, Corey Day in the 7. Got Jordan Anderson returning in the 20 truck. Obviously, I remember him for a long time in the truck series, where he did the self-sponsorship, where you paid a certain amount of money you could get on the back of his truck. That was really cool to see. 22 of Alan Waller. Number 35 of Greg Van Alst. 44 Ross Chastain will be making a star at IRP. 66 of Luke Fenhouse. And as of right now, the 74 is still to be announced. 35 drivers for 36 spots, so obviously everybody will be getting into the race. Xfinity, we got 38 drivers, so no cars will miss the race for this. Got the 07 of Logan Bearden. That's a new name for this year. Number 14 of Garrett Smithley making a return in that car. Number 17, this is kind of a big name. People may know him. He's kind of a small deal sometimes, but his name's Kyle Larson. He's pretty good at this racing thing for what people tell me. Number 19 of Eric Almirola will be making his third straight start. I do believe so. It's good to see for him. 32 of Catherine Legg making a start. 35 still to be announced at this moment. 45 of Mason Massey. 53 of Joey Gase. Leland Honeyman, who made that amazing save in Atlanta, will be returning in that 70 car. And that paint scheme in Atlanta was sick. 74 of Dawson Cram. And then the 91 of Josh Bilicki. And to recap the Cup drivers once again, I won't name the car numbers because we've already talked about it. Josh Bilicki, Jesse Love, Catherine Legg, Noah G., Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith, and Tyler Reddick. Obviously, longer lists due to the charter massacre that's going on with this lawsuit. Boys, I am so ready for Indianapolis Speedway. I've been ready for this Brickyard since the beginning of the season, let me tell you. So excited. It's funny because most of the time we come into talking about how a race is going to be kind of sucky, and then it turns out to be, an okay race. I felt like Dover was going to be terrible. It was just okay for me. I know a lot of people enjoyed it, but it got a little bit boring at certain points. But I'm going to come into the Brickyard 400 feeling like it's going to be a good race. I have aspirations it's going to be a good race, right? Totally. %.
This is one of those tracks that it's just, it's about the venue. It's about where they're at, the history of
right?
it. Yeah,
history.
And I've got a lot to talk about when we get to that, but it's just about being able to say that I've won a race at Indianapolis. It's really, that's it. And so I'm interested in seeing what drivers will be willing to do to put themselves in that position to win. But it's tricky because they're 4 identical corners, except they look identical. They don't necessarily race identical. And so it's going to be a very interesting race. They're going to get spread out. There is going to be a factor, but I think the guy with the best car is going to win. It's like last year when Kyle Larson did it. I don't think anyone doubted, Kyle Larson was the man to beat. Someone's going to make a mistake and get loose underneath 2 cars while they're 3 wide and take out 5 or 6 cars. It's just those kind of things happen. That's what's going to make the storyline. I think it could be, if you look for those little moments to make it interesting, I think it could be a very interesting race. I'm not going to say it's going to be entertaining start to finish, but it could be very interesting.
It's great that you talk about history because that kind of just blends in straight to the segment there. I like the natural transition. Kent's starting to become a professional at this point. Start having to bill him at this point, or he'll have to bill us, I guess, rather.
Just add another 0 to what you're already paying me, and we'll call it.
What about an extra 3 zeros? We'll really help you out.
Look, there you go. That'll work. Hey, before we jump into that really quick, I thought it was interesting just to look at this. So the entry list, right? The entry list for the race this Sunday, you've got the 78, the 66, and was it the 33?
No, it's the 62 for Jesse Love.
The 62 for Jesse Love.
Yep.
So right now, that 62 car is sitting 46th in the owner's points. So that said, with the new rules, if any 2 of the following cars were to jump into the race, if any of the, there'd have to be 2 of them to knock him out, right? But if any 2 of these next cars jumped in, he would get booted. And so you got the 44, the 01, 67, the 40, the 66, the 84. Of course, the 66 are already in it, but the 84, the 87, or the 33. So there's a part of me that wonders, because the 33 is a little bit higher up and it's not in this race, there's a part of me that wonders, I don't know why Richard Childress wouldn't just say, I'm going to enter the 33 under my name instead of, I don't know. I know the 62 likes to enter several races. They typically only do the super speedways, but I would be interested in seeing if the 62 gets booted. Will Richard Childress come back and say, okay, we're putting Jesse Love in the 33, so now he's going to race? That would be something that would be pretty wild.
That would be crazy.
Anyways, but let's jump into history. Let's talk about history. Y'all ready?
Sure, go ahead. Enlighten us. Are you going to talk about IRP as well?
I'll learn you. You already know I'm not
Indy?
talking about IRP.
It's like AARP.
Yeah.
Please talk about 2008. Please talk about 2008.
2008.
Indy.
At Indy?
Yeah.
Why am I drawing a blank on 2008?
Dang it.
That was the one thing I want you to talk about. Like, all right. Just go ahead. What you got?
The tire debacle. The tire debacle, 2008.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I do remember that now. Who ended up winning that race?
Let me look.
I feel like it was probably Jimmy Johnson.
Either that or Tony Stewart.
Or Tony Stewart, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see
Johnson probably
here.
wrecked.
Nope, Johnson won.
Johnson won. Hey, no, I shouldn't have doubted myself. I'm smart.
All-State 400, baby.
The All-State.
10 to 12 laps
400.
per tire or per set of tires.
Yeah, that was insane. But those had some fall off for sure. So just looking at the track, this is the second oldest permanent racing banked oval in the world. The first being actually the Milwaukee Mile. But this the track began construction in 1909, and they actually had the first race there in 1909. It was a 5-mile race. It was a 2-lap race. And Louis Schwitzer won that race. And so just think 1909, they were racing on banked ovals. And I'm looking at a picture. I didn't do this research, but just looking at this picture, it does look like the surface appears to be dirt for that event. Let me see
What
here.
year was it?
This was 1909. The track surface again became a concern, with drivers being covered in dirt, oil, and tar, with ruts and chuck holes beginning to form in the turns.
Crushed stone and tar is what made the racetrack up in 1909.
There you go. And it, yeah, that's crazy. So it was not yet the yard of bricks,
Just ground up bricks.
which of course would. What's that?
Just ground up bricks.
That's essentially, it was unfinished bricks. Let's talk about the NASCAR Cup Series at this track. Being a Jeff Gordon fan, I cannot continue without talking about the race in 1994. Of course, they went there and they tested, I believe, in 93 or 92 for the first time. And I don't think Jeff was part of that test, but I know Dale Earnhardt was. And Dale Earnhardt was one of those who said, look, man, I want this. I want this trophy. I want this win. I want to win at this track. Earnhardt was one of the biggest fans of racing at the Brickyard. I don't think people realize just how excited he was to race there, let alone win there in 95. But Jeff Gordon won what was his only second career victory at the track in 1994, which was the first NASCAR Cup event to be run on this track. And, with those cars back then, of course, the higher horsepower, less downforce, made for a little bit more entertaining racing. And they were absolutely booking it down those straights. And it was, I've gone back and watched that race I don't know how many times, and it was definitely fun to watch back then. It's fun to watch now. Go back and watch it. Jeff Gordon remains the only driver with, let's see here, I want to say 5 wins. I got to find it. He did win that Brickyard 400 5 times. Yep, there it is. 5 wins on the Yard of Bricks. His last win coming on the, 20th, not the actual anniversary, but, 20 years after his first win on the track. So it says a lot about his dominance at the track. And so, but no, I mean, you look at some of the biggest names that have won here in the Cup Series. I mean, Gordon, Earnhardt, Johnson, Busch, they've all done it. Larson, more recently, Casey Kane had some success on this track later on. And so it's just really cool. Let me ask y'all this, though. do y'all know? And this is just a little bit of trivia. Of course, they have the tradition of kissing the bricks after the race. Do y'all know who started that tradition? Let me ask y'all this: would y'all say it was IndyCar or NASCAR?
I think it was NASCAR, wasn't it?
It was. It was.
Let me think. I can think of the face almost.
Was it Rusty Wallace?
Was Dale Jarrett?
Yeah, because everybody's like, ew, he's kissing the bricks.
Yeah. So Dale Jarrett was the first driver to kiss the bricks, and then it's started a tradition that's across just about every series or every race that races at Indianapolis now kisses the bricks. But, this is, you think about this track when it was completed in 1909. You think about just how rough it was, bare bones, right? And now it is probably, now I've been to this track. I've not been to a race there, but I've toured the track. I've seen these facilities. It's been over 15 years since I did this, but this is one of the nicest, the only track maybe that just comes close to rivaling it when it comes to technology and just, what kind of, what the venue has as far as being new and fresh. Might be Daytona, but what Indianapolis has become is an absolute monster. The biggest racing event and the biggest really sporting event of the year every year takes place here with the Indianapolis 500. NASCAR used to have numbers that came close to rivaling those. They would pack out the track. Not so much anymore.
They used to, after the first couple of years NASCAR raced there, Indy started blocking off seats so that way NASCAR wouldn't, it started blocking off seats so that way NASCAR wouldn't outdo Indy's numbers.
Now ticket sales, that's crazy. That's crazy. They don't have to worry about that now. That's not happening now. And until something, on track changes with the repave that they've had most recently, it's really taken, they did it up really nice. They didn't, it's not aging the way a lot of these tracks age. It is pristine. And so, which means that the racing is not going to be all that great for a little while with stock cars at the very least. And so, but yeah, when it comes to the history of this track, there have been so many incredible moments, from Jimmy Johnson wiping out in 2017. I think it was 2017, from the lead when Casey Kane would go on to win that race to, whether it was one of Jeff Gordon's 5 wins. Tony Stewart ran really well here. And even when Dale Earnhardt picked up his lone victory in the Brickyard 400 in 1995, this track has seen a lot of NASCAR history. I believe that it needs to be on the NASCAR schedule in some way, shape, or form. I prefer the oval. To the road course, but it obviously needs some work. But yeah, so there's a lot to be said about the history still. So much more we could say. We could really spend a whole episode where we just dive into all the different series, from NASCAR to IndyCar to F1 that have driven at this racetrack, both on the, 2.6 mile road course and on the 2.5 mile oval. And so there's just so much that has taken place here. It really is. They call Daytona the world center of racing. This really is the birthplace, though, of automobile racing as we know it. And so there you have it.
It's pretty crazy to me that this, just a little point, being, a Jeff Gordon fan that you are, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Gordon won in 94. He won in 2004, and he won in 2014. Those are all 10-year gaps. So think about the trajectory of that career.
Yeah, and there's a point where I was thinking, hey, is he going to come out of retirement in 2024? I would have.
Yeah, make the return, baby.
Yeah, come on, man. It really is wild. And I think about in 2016, he came out of retirement, right, to drive for Dale Jr. in that 88 car, the Exalta 88 for that race. And so it was, a familiar look for Gordon, even though it was not the 24 car. He did okay, he didn't really contend for the win. Yeah, he did all right. But that last lap he took around the track with Tony Stewart, you talk about
a little bit.
Maybe. You know, when they announced Gordon was running this race, I thought, man, he won it 2 years ago. He's got a shot. And I think Gordon went on to finish 6th at Martinsville later that fall and really have a good run there, where it looked like, hey, maybe he could work out a win in that race. You know, he really will go down as, you know, when the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was in its prime NASCAR racing, Jeff Gordon knew his way around the track better than anyone else. And I think it was evident on that final restart with 17 laps to go in 2014. He was able to sail it in to the corner. It stuck and drive off. I mean, that was just an absolutely awesome race for him. Maybe one day we'll get back to some better racing at the track. But for now, if I'm encouraging you to watch this event as a race fan, you know, my encouragement is enjoy it for what it is. Watch it for the same reason that you may watch the Masters as a golf fan. Watch it for the history of the place. Watch it for the beauty of the venue, and just enjoy the fact that NASCAR is racing on this platform and on this stage, because they may not be for much longer. You just don't know with the trajectory of the racing there. And I mean, at the end of the day, for what it is, it's pretty daggum cool that NASCAR is racing in a place with this much history. A lot of the history, most of the history, doesn't even belong to them as a series. And so I'm excited to see who, you know, you win at this track, your name goes in a history book. It's kind of like Daytona in that matter, right?
Crowd
We
jewel.
can, yeah. And I still call it a crown jewel. And I know a lot of people, there's a lot of debates on, you know, hey, is this really a crown jewel or not? I would consider it one just because of the venue. But, you know, it would be really cool to see a number of guys, you know, win this race. But yeah, I mean, when you win here, hey, look, you're a winner at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and you get treated like royalty when you're at that place for the rest of your life. So it'll be exciting to see who wins. People will be willing to do a little bit more to win this race than most, and it's going to be
Speaking about selling it in, we're going to sell it in to the next segment presented by Austin in regards to the track dynamics. And I actually have the Goodyear notes and stuff, so whenever you're done, I can transition over to that.
Yep. So, man, Indianapolis Motors. You compared it to the Masters. There, I would actually compare it to Rutgers football, because Rutgers at one point in time was the birthplace of college football, and at one point in time they were a pristine college football program, and now not so much pristine anymore. But maybe one day, as you said, we can get back to that. But the track specs, looking at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, can't kind of cover a bit of it. It's 4 corners that look identical. So you have this 2.5 mile track, 4 distinct turns. Each of them is banked at 9 degrees. And for some reason, they feel like they're different in different capacities in different ways. The surface is asphalt, if y'all didn't know. Pit road speed is 55 miles an hour. Race distance is 400 miles. This track is iconic because it's not an oval necessarily. It is a iconic rectangular shaped track with 4 90-degree corners, basically. So you have long straights and flat turns, which requires high speed stability, and you have to be precise on your entry and exit. In some ways, drafting matters here, not to the degree that we see at Daytona and Talladega and Atlanta. You know, it's not that degree, but you can catch somebody with a draft. If you can get in there, if you can get a toe, you can make up some ground. But historically, for NASCAR, this is one of the toughest tracks to pass at. Basically, if you don't pass them on straightaway, you're not passing them. Tire wear is kind of moderate, but the racing line is narrow, which means your track position is going to matter. Qualifying is going to matter. Pit strategy is going to matter because it is so difficult to pass. You could actually maybe pull a 2-tire strategy here at Indy and pull it off because it is so hard to pass. So, some trends, pit strategy and green flag cycles, these often determine the winners. Tire management and having a good in and out lap are going to be crucial. Track position and restart control, especially on the outside, play a huge role in how you win here. Aero balance is everything. because the turns are so flat, you need as much downforce as possible. And don't expect a lot of cautions. If you're watching NASCAR for cautions, this might be a race you skip because there's not a lot of cautions here at Indy. As far as drivers who are good here, Denny Hamlin is one of the good ones here. He has multiple top fives and excellent qualifying history at Indy, and he loves flat tracks as well. Kyle Busch is a two-time winner of the Brickyard. It feels like we mention him every week, but that's just because he has that pedigree of all these tracks. Every single track it feels like we talk about, he has a history of performing well in some capacity. Joey Logano is often strong in qualifying at Indy. He's never won at the Brickyard, but is consistently competitive. Laney, he showed some good speed in the 2024 return to the Oval, and Penske has deep data here as well. This is Penske's home track, so would not surprise me if Penske tried to make a push for the win here. So let's see. This is Penske's home track. As I mentioned, can Logano or Blaney get the win? Chevy versus Toyota, that's been kind of the thing as well. Toyota has had the speed, but Hendrick has a deep history of that trophy room for the Brickyard. And this is just an interesting track. I will say, would I know we kind of mentioned this, but would you guys say that does Indy feel like a crown jewel? Like, I know we said we still think of it as a crown jewel, but does it still feel like a crown jewel?
Speaking in the respects of like someone that races in NASCAR, or from like a fan's perspective of a crown jewel?
From a fan's perspective.
Not really. I feel like the racing quality has a big say in that. I feel like any race that, for instance, if Darlington was a terrible, like they just were absolutely horrific at that racetrack, people consider that a crown jewel. I would argue that most fans would be like, yeah, not really. But when it's the teams and they're going into the racetrack, that's one that they probably definitely circle. Especially, like Kent said, a driver wants to win there because you're remembered as a Brickyard champion, not just a winner, a champion. Just like how the Daytona 500 champion, Southern 500 champion.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my perspective. It's like yes and no, I guess. What about you, Kent?
Yeah, I mean, I think the drivers are fighting for it, right? I think the drivers want it bad and want to win there. They're going to do whatever they can. And if they win, they're going to, especially if they win, they're going to say, man, this is a crown jewel. For the fan, I don't know. I think it depends. How long have you been watching the sport, right? Like, if you've been watching the sport as long as we have, then yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's still a crown jewel. If you just started watching the, NASCAR 10 years ago, no, it's not. I mean, there's nothing really special about it. In fact, they didn't even race there for a few years, at least
I was about to say,
same configuration.
It's tough to call it a crown jewel when it was off the schedule for a prolonged amount of time,
Absolutely. It'd be like, saying, hey, we're not going to run the Daytona 500 this year. We're going to start with the road course. Then it's like, okay, then the oval really isn't all that special. And so if you've been watching for the last 10 years, then probably not. It's probably not that big of a deal. It's probably just another boring race. If you've been watching for 20, 30 years at least, then I think it still holds that place in your heart because you remember what it once was. And you hope it will get back to that. And I think there's a part of all three of us that hopes and thinks that it could get back to it because we understand that I think the sport is at its best when the racing at Indianapolis is also at its best. Yeah, I think it's going to hit different depending on who you ask.
Yeah,
for sure.
I did want to mention IRP for the truck race. So IRP, while not Indianapolis, it is a short track, asphalt over, 0.686 miles, so just over a half mile. Banking turns are 12 degrees. The track has wide corners, which allows for multiple grooves. It's located not actually in Indianapolis, but it is in Claremont, Indiana, just outside of Indy. But this is a very technical short track surface is very old. So tire wear, if you watch the truck race, tire wear is going to be a big deal. And you're going to see two grooves. You can either rim ride the top or you can hug the bottom line. So I genuinely think we're going to see some good racing from the truck race at this place, combined with tire wear and the different grooves and lanes that you can run. Trucks, it will get strung out. Passing does happen, but it's more of catching somebody and running more consistent lap times than them. That's how you make the passes. Recent winners, because they only have been really racing here for the last couple years, they raced back in like pre-2011, and then they've just recently come back to the track. But Tommy Jeski's a good guy here. He usually does really well at tracks like this. But yeah, that is IRP, and I think honestly I'm looking forward to that race more than Xfinity and Cup at actual Brickyard, to be honest. That's what I got for that. So
Short track racing. I mean, what
That's
else
track
is there to
racing.
love? You bring a great perspective of IRP. Also, shout out the ARCA series will also be there, and the tire wear in ARCA is wild to behold with those general tires. So that's really cool to watch that. So I'm definitely gonna be watching a lot of racing this weekend, which is always a highlight of my weekend. We make it to the weekend, we get to watch racing. All right, we'll start with IRP first. They're using the same tires as they did when they came in 2022. They've not changed it since. The most comparable, I think it's the same tires that were at North Wilkesboro in May, which if anybody remembers the race for North Wilkesboro in May in the truck race, it was interesting ending to the race at least, right? So hopefully it'll be a good race. I'm looking forward to it. Xfinity Series, in regards to that, of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, they're going to be running the same tires as they did at IMS last year. So the right side tire was used at Pocono in June, while the left side has been used multiple times. I literally was used last weekend at Dover. They do have the inner liners, of course, with it being a 1 mile track and longer. They always run the inner liners in Xfinity. Now, this is an interesting thing. Cup is coming into the weekend, and they're running the same right sides as Indy, and these are the same tires that they ran at Pocono. But the left sides, they're changing it up a little bit. They've not used it at this racetrack. They used the same tires at Charlotte and Michigan. And if anybody can remember, especially if you look at the Jeff Gluck poll here lately, those two are pretty close to the top in regards to the racing quality voted by the fans. So hopefully that deduces a little bit better racing. Obviously, tire wear is what they're going for there for lap time fall off, but yet it's still going to be negligible at best. I feel like it won't be insane tire wear. But also look for a little bit of fuel strategy in this race. This could be a race where someone rolls the dice. Of course, I think it was Austin or Kent that mentioned the two tires could be something that's sufficient with that. That might play into a fuel mileage race at the end. Of course, if you're not getting 4 tires, you're not getting as much gas in the car. So there might be a chance that a team rolls the dice, especially if you're someone like Ty Dillon that's going for that $1 million this weekend and has a historically good track record at this track. It might be something to consider, especially for those that are outside the playoffs, like a Ryan Preece, a Kyle Busch, someone that's a veteran that knows how to save gas. There's all kinds of different things that may come into factor with this. Also, I usually talk about the fan experience side, and I'm glad Kent touched on this. I'll just talk about it briefly, but I had a friend that went to this race because he's locally around this racetrack, and he says that the fan experience at Indy is like second to none. Like the amount of stuff they do outside the track and the atmosphere around the track is absolutely insane. So if you're around the Indianapolis area and go to the racetrack, even if you're not going to go there for the racing, go for the experience, because there's all kinds of stuff that they do. They're very fan interactive over there. They put a really good show together, just like they do at Daytona. So that is all that I have in regards to both of those. Yeah, we'll do hot takes. I was just kidding. All right. Well, since you're so ready to go with it, I'm sure you have one sitting on the back burner, so go ahead.
All really don't. But I guess if I had to do a hot take, I would say Corey High does not get a top 5 finish at RP. Now, you know, I'll
Historically good short track racer.
Yeah, I'll do top 5. I'll do top 5.
Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They IRP does have wet weather tires, by the way. Being a short track, they always seem to break those. What about you, Kent? Do you have anything that you were pondering on over there?
Yeah. You know, I was looking at the running order last year, the finishing order, and, you know, of course, Kyle Larson won. There were a few names in the top 10 you don't typically see there. And so I will say that there's somebody that finishes in the top 10 that we would be like, how on earth did they get there? And I will name the driver that finishes in the top 10 that just kind of shocks us, if you will. Cole Custer is going to finish in the top 10 at Indianapolis. Attrition, strategy, stuff's going to fall his way. He's going to get a top 10 in the Brickyard 400.
Heck, man, he needs it.
Desperately.
That team needs a good run.
Y'all remember my preseason
Dude,
hot take?
he's going to make the playoffs.
I said he was going to make the round of 8.
Yeah, he did.
What an idiot. That's crazy. Homie is holding down the 35th spot in the point standings right now. And that's only because Cody Ware doesn't have a brake rotor, but I don't know. Anyways, it's just, it is rough. God.
It's rough out here on these streets, he says.
Especially if your name is Cole Custer and you drive a blue oval. Golly. I mean, you know, he had to just be licking his chops, looking to get back into a cut car. He's like, man, all of Haas's energy is going to be directed towards me. I'm going to get the best of everything because we only got one car. And they have absolutely flopped this season. But I think he gets a top 10.
It'd be good for see him. He's also a really good personality for the sport.
Yeah.
Especially with his stone cold thing that he does every once in a while. It's pretty cool.
Is he the one that didn't he go to bust a couple of alcoholic beverages over his head in Victory Lane, and then he fell off the race car?
Yeah, I think so.
And that was a Xfinity race, I believe.
Yeah,
it wasn't a cup race.
he
got one of those wins, but
yeah. You know what? I'm saying AJ Allmendinger gets a top 5 here. I think this is a racetrack that I think this track plays into his wheelhouse. He's been really hot here lately, of course, with the road course races, but he's been showing some really good speed overall with Kaulig. And obviously, it honestly makes me positive for Ty Dillon, because if Allmendinger's getting this much speed, you got to imagine Ty Dillon's got to be getting close to that speed at some point in regards to the car capabilities. So that's going to be my spicy take. Obviously, Blake's was the 2-week spicy take that Ty Dillon was going to take it home. He's still looking pretty good on that take. So, good for Blake. He'll finally hit one for this year.
Good for him.
Good for him. Must be nice. Now, something that was not nice to me for this week, the Pick'em Series, presented to you by Austin.
So, for the first time in about a month, it feels like we are picking truck again, the horrific race that was Lime Rock Park. So Cole has first pick for the trucks. He cannot pick Riggs, Hocevar, or Jordan Taylor. So Mr. Coleman, who you running with?
I feel like you have to go Majeski here, just based upon driver averages, but heck, it's anybody's race to win at this point.
So you want to tie?
Yep, Majeski.
All right, Blake, I believe, is up next. He cannot pick Chastain, Hocevar, and Riggs. He told me, hi.
Yeah. Shocker.
I pick next. I cannot pick Hocevar, Heim, or Chandler Smith. I'm going to go Lane Riggs. And then Mr. Kent won last time we picked trucks, so he picks last. He cannot pick LaJoey, Riggs, or Majeski, which just so happened to already be off the board. So who are you picking, my friend?
Give me Hey, Butterbean.
All right.
Yep.
I don't hate that pick at all.
I love me some Butterbean, man.
All right, so Xfinity, let's see. Cole, once again, has the first pick. He picked Chastain last week. Let me get this set up right. Cole, my friend, you cannot pick SVG, Zilich, or Chastain. Who is your pick?
Fun fact, SVG finished 4th here last year, which is crazy to me. But give me Eric Almirola for this week.
I picked Ryan Truex last week. I cannot pick Love or Austin Green.
You got 2 slam dunks that you can pick from. So I feel like
Let me pull it back up. I can't remember who I was looking at.
you got Larson that's in the 17.
Shut up, Cole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Almirola was actually going to be my pick, so I will gladly take Larson from Blake, who had him on his list. So
you wouldn't have got him anyways, Kent. It's okay.
Damn it.
yeah, Blake was going to have him anyway. Of
course.
Blake had a Larson and Almirola as his first 2, so he is going to pick Mr. Jesse Love.
RCR's not terrible here. So
And then Mr. Kent, you cannot pick Hill, SVG, or Almirola.
Awesome. So what you're telling me, though, is that Zilich is available.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's a dub. That's a dub.
calling
Come
it
on
right now.
That's a dub. Give me Zilich.
The last time you picked Zilich, you won, I think, in Xfinity Series.
Sure did. Like the first time I've won in quite,
Decades.
yeah,
Well,
quite some time.
I forgot to read off the point standings for the Truck Series. Is leading in the Truck Series standing
No way.
with
No way.
41 points. Blake is second with 37. I'm third with 32nd, and Cole is last with 30 points. Yeah, Kent, you are leading in the Truck Series. No prize for that, but hey, pride points.
Absolutely.
Heck, if he wins that, I might buy him something at this point.
Consolation.
Looking at the Xfinity Series, I'm still in the lead with 50 points. Blake is second with 48. Cole third, 47, and Kent last with 45. We're all right there together. So that's the thing with Xfinity. Xfinity's been so tight this year. So that's who we got. And then looking at Cup, Cole, once again, obviously we don't make these picks final because we wait for qualifying. But Cole picked Chastain last week. Chastain just did not have a speed. Usually he does pretty well at Dover. This year was not. It wasn't Trackhouse's year at all for Dover.
He wrecked at the end of the race too.
So Cole, who are you looking at with your first pick for Indy? I know you love having first pick for this track.
It's the best try to get a first pick at. Let me tell you, since you have such a historic line of stats and stuff to choose from, it's great.
One race.
I'm probably looking at Reddick this week. I feel like Reddick's due for one, but I mean it's hard to pass up Larson obviously since he won it last year. But
Reddick was runner-up last year, so that's not a bad pick.
Blake cannot pick SVG, Reddick, or Bell.
I wonder who's going to pick.
Larson is the guy he put as his driver. Larson is who he is considering. Let's see. Kent, you pick next. You cannot pick Reddick, Byron, or Elliott this week. If Larson and Reddick are off the table, who are you looking at?
Oh, man, someone who ran all right there last year, and I think he's due a win, even if he did take my favorite driver out last week. I'll take give me C Bell.
The guy that you were supposedly going to pick last week, and then you didn't pick him, and it ended up saving you a lot.
Did it really even save me any? I picked Elliott, so yeah, no, it saved me a lot by not picking him. Yeah. I think I was supposed to save him for this week, and it's going to work out.
Myself, I picked last this week because I picked Hamlin, and Hamlin won the race this past weekend. I cannot pick Gibbs, Chastain, or Hamlin if Reddick, Bell, and Larson are off the board. Man, honestly, looking at a Penske car, I'm not going to say Blaney because I want to say Blaney for Iowa. I feel like, yeah, Cindric. I might be looking at Cindric this week. I'm kind of going into this week knowing if I don't get Larson or Reddick, I'm probably not going to win. So, I mean, obviously anything can happen over the course of the weekend, qualifying and whatnot. but I just have a feeling if I can't pick Hamlin, which I'm fine with because he won this past week. If I can't pick Hamlin, if I can't pick Reddick, if I can't pick Larson, I'm probably not going to win. So I'm going to try to get the most value I can for where I'm picking. So I might be looking at Cindric. I might be looking at Bubbles. I don't know. We'll see where we are. But I did do something fun that I wanted to add to the pick'em thing that we do. Is I asked Chat GPT to help me out
Goodness me.
and have them pick the race pick for this weekend. So for trucks, they said that Daniel Hemrick will win in the truck series this weekend. They said that for the Xfinity series, Justin Allgaier will win the Xfinity series. And they said that Denny Hamlin will go back to back and win at Indianapolis. Could you imagine if Denny went back to back weekends? I think
Yeah, it'd be a 30% on the Jeff Flip poll.
Dover
Easy.
was
Yeah, if the race is already not great, it'll be a terrible poll.
I mean, Dover was
We might
55.
not even touch double digits. Yeah, we might not touch double digits.
Dover was 55% on the Gluck poll. So we'll see how ChatGPT does this weekend. But that's what we have for Indianapolis. And then we will move on next week to Iowa and see what that has in store for us.
Get ready for the corn, baby. A corn race. I always like seeing the Allgaier schemes during the Iowa races. I always feel like they do a really good job. Yep, we'll be back. We'll have Tomato Head with us, so look forward to being forward wide once again with him. Yeah, well, I say that we have him back. We don't know that for sure, but I imagine that he's probably biting at the bit to come back. He's probably foaming at the mouth right now, especially all this tire wear that I've been talking about with Indy. I'm sure he's foaming. All right, folks, we're heading off. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the racing, and we will see you next week at Fort White.